Where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you? Why have you gone away? Where is the laughter?
Hello everybody and welcome to my belated review of The Grinch. Yes, I know it's not exactly Christmas at the time I'm recording this. Christmas has actually passed, and for that I do apologise. But again, I was busy with family commitments. It was Christmas after all. But I thought, what the heck? I still might as well review the movie anyway. Consider it a belated Christmas present. So yes, The Grinch. This is based off of the. Sorry, I just got a message. This is based off the Dr Seuss novel, of the very short Dr Seuss novel, and basically tells the story of the Grinch, who is this sort of green-looking monster kind of creature. He basically despises Christmas due to an unfortunate event of the past, and one of the young Whovians, or I don't know what you call them. They're these these creatures called that live in this place called Whoville. They're called Who's or something or other. I don't want to say Whovians because that just confuses people with Doctor Who. And one particular young girl named Cindy Lou, she meets the Grinch unexpectedly. He almost leaves her for dead, and then he rescues her, and then she starts to see the sort of that he's not all bad. Everybody seems to hate this guy, but whilst yes, he is kind of not normal, he's a bit strange, but you know, there's a good guy in there, and her persistence leads her to discovering more about his past and the reasons why he hates Christmas, and trying to try to make him feel appreciated, as well as joining them in celebrating Christmas. And the mayor, who, well, is an old school friend of the Grinch and despises him, isn't prepared to let Cindy isn't prepared to let her allow the Grinch to join them. It kind of goes on from there, really, and then the Grinch basically seeks revenge on the town by stealing all of their Christmas gear, meaning all the presents, the trees, the food. He steals the lot, and then, in a nutshell, he has to basically become a good person with the help of Cindy Lou, in order to basically bring back their presents and everything, and prove to everybody that he is actually a good person. There we go. That's the description of the film, anyway. So, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. Well, I think the first thing to say is it's leagues better than the Cat in the Hat movie that was made about 3 years after this. Oh, God, I hate that film. Anyway, this movie is directed by Ron Howard, who I didn't actually realise until I watched it this time, and stars Jim Carrey as the Grinch. I kind of forgot about this movie. I haven't watched it for a long time, not for at least about 7 or 8 years. I watched it a fair amount when I was a kid. Looking back on it now, I would say The Grinch as a film, it's good. Yeah, it's good. It's fine. It's far from being a classic, I would say, but it's definitely got enough in there for you to enjoy, certainly. I think, obviously, because the book is so short, that they had to expand it to make it a feature-length film. They've done a pretty good job, to be honest. They've done a pretty good job. I think the biggest thing I can say about this movie is that it's got amazing production design. The production design is superb, and it looks very much like Dr. Seuss's illustrations and his vision. It's definitely catered to a Dr. Seuss story. That's very interesting to see. Whereas the Cat in the Hat, it kind of did look like Dr. Seuss, but in a too much of a profound way. This looks, this doesn't go overboard, and it looks great. In terms of how Dr. Seuss would have wanted it. I think if he'd seen this movie, he would have been quite happy with how it looked. So it looks good. It looks very good for what it is. And there's little CGI, which is helpful. All of the houses and everything. It's just so very weird and overt and kind of cute, really. So that was very clear to see. We'll talk about the cast. Obviously, Jim Carrey plays the Grinch. My opinion of him in this movie kind of flip-flops, really. On the one hand, there are certain scenes when he is actually quite good, and he does create a good character, but the problem is with Jim Carrey, he's a very theatrical actor. By that, he goes very, very over the top. And you do get a lot of that here. It's not his worst performance by any means, but I just don't think this works completely in every scene. Every scene, he's so out there. There needed to be some times when he reined it in, and for me, that wasn't happening. There were obviously towards the end when he changes, even when he has his kind of heart attack, when he sort of like his heart grows 3 times the size of itself. Even then, you still feel like this should be an important emotional moment, and you're kind of squandering it because it's so over the top. I think Jim Carrey needs to rein it in sometimes. I mean, there are moments in this movie when he is very good and he is very funny, but I think overall his performance is a bit of a mixed bag, and sometimes the voice gets a bit annoying, and he kind of mumbles some of his lines, and I don't know, like. There are a few moments as well when he breaks the fourth wall, and I can see that being funny for the adults, but for the kids, they're not going to understand any of that. But he did do a good job with the character. He definitely brought the character to life, so I don't think any other actor could have been as over the top. So yeah, and also the prosthetics that they've done and the makeup for him and the costume is fantastic. Really, it looks so real. And I do like the relationship he has with Cindy Lou. That's definitely the heart of the story, that she shows him how to be good, and but by understanding him, by understanding his, his all the shit he's been through in his life. Excuse for the language, but that's it. I mean, I thought it was very interesting how they delved into the backstory of the Grinch. As far as I remember, the book doesn't really go into detail all that much. I mean, this is from my memory, and my memory of the book is very sketchy. I have read the book a long time ago, when I was about like 7, so about nearly 13 years ago for me. Yeah, but it's definitely good. And I think the backstory helps, like with his attraction to Martha May and his school days, and I mean, the only thing I didn't get was how the babies just kind of flew down from the sky. Like, surely there's got to be some element of biology in there. Like, surely the parents of the. I know this is set in a fantasy world. The Who's surely have to have some kind of some kind of sex to make it work. I mean, well, actually, I suppose they do, because there is one guy that says, "Hey, look, honey, our baby's here. He looks a lot like your boss." So that's quite a funny line. There's a suggestion of the affair with those two, and also the fact that they do actually conceive. So for me, at the time, I was thinking, hang on, this is a bit of an inconsistency. I'm not sure how I feel about this. But you kind of have to let it go, really. And then, seeing him being raised by the 2 women, not that this is an issue, but I thought, are those 2 women together? Are they a lesbian couple? I mean, it's never made abundantly clear. I mean, I'm fine if it is, absolutely fine. That's fine, people do that. But for a child audience, would they understand that? It's just a curiosity. It's not a criticism whatsoever. Absolutely not. Yeah, so that's quite interesting. And then the moment when the mayor, who's an absolute prick, he says, "Oh, you're 8 years old and you have a beard," and they're like mocking him, and he gets really, really upset, and he's like, "I hate Christmas." He throws the tree, and although the one thing I find really annoying about the backstory is Martha May, like her character. I don't get her. She's a fucking slut. She's like a 10-year-old slut. I mean, she's so suggestive with him. She's like, she literally does that. She's like, I love Christmas. All of the colours of the lights, red and green. And she's like stroking him. I was like, fucking hell. That is a creepy 10-year-old. What the hell? Like, what is with this character? I don't get that at all. Like, she just seems, her intentions just don't seem very clear. And then, for 1 minute you think, okay, she's just pissing around. She's just basically, messing him around, leading him on because he looks like a Grinch, because he looks like a monster. But then by the end, when she's an adult, she admits how, she's in love with him, which doesn't make sense. For me, that is a big contradiction of this movie. That I didn't understand that. I thought the script needed to work on that, or they needed to work on Martha May's character, because I did not understand that whatsoever. I was like, so 1 minute she's trying to be like all slutty and kind of like, ooh, like suggestive, like, and almost as if to take the piss out of him. But then she admits she loves him. It's never really made abundantly clear. So yeah, could have worked on that a bit more. For the most part, there aren't too many characters. I suppose Cindy Lou is another character worth mentioning. I mean, if you see the actress now, my God, she is hot. And she's done well for herself. But she's a little girl here. She's very good. She's very sweet, very charming personality. She has great chemistry with Jim Carrey as the Grinch. And the moments when she sings are very sweet and very nice. It used to annoy me, but now I kind of appreciate it a bit more. So she's very good. Let's see. We have Jeffrey Tambor as the mayor. I can't remember what else he's been in. I recognise him from somewhere. I don't know where he... I don't know where else he's been. What else he's been in. Yeah, and the mayor is, like I said, he's an absolute prick towards the Grinch. But yeah, the actor played him really well. Christine Baranski as Martha May. Again, it's not her. It's the character just isn't fleshed out. It doesn't make sense, her storyline. Also, with regards to Martha May, the performance by Christine Baranski, the young Martha May as well, like, it was probably from the direction of Ron Howard. It was just like the way Christine Baranski speaks all the time. Like, she's like, oh, oh. She's like this kind of breathless, it sounds really perverted, as if she's like horny all the time. That's what it sounds like. Like, I'm sorry, my heart belongs to someone else. Like, that's the way she speaks, and it's really strange. This movie is just strange. I mean, as well as the Jim Carrey performance, which is strange in itself, but it kind of works for the character, really. That is strange. I think the direction is kind of strange. It's a bit of a weird film at times. Like, 1 minute it's trying to be all kind of sweet and festive, and then the next minute it's like, whoa! It's like trying to throw you with all the weirdness. You just go, what? It's a bit bizarre. Feels a bit like some scenes don't all match up, really. The pacing is fine. I don't have an issue with the pacing. It's 1 hour 40 minutes, and that is perfectly fine. It moves at such a good pace. You have Bill Irwin as Lulu, who's Cindy Lou's father. He doesn't get many scenes, but his character definitely changes by the end. He sort of stands up to the mayor and says, I don't care, we don't need the presents or the commercialism. We have each other, we have a family. And he basically tells the mayor, like, this is my daughter, she's encouraged this. She said this whole time that we don't need all of the presents and everything else and all of the lights and everything. It's not about that. It's about family, And essentially that is the message of the film, is that Christmas isn't about the commercialism. It's not about the presents, and it's not about the gifts, it's not about the food. It's about people. People coming together. Giving and receiving is just another part of it. And the way that the message is reinforced is great. The fact that a bad man turns good and, discovers the true meaning of, like, camaraderie, essentially. He finds a people who he can be a part of, even though he's different. He looks different and he acts different. The Grinch sees the joy in the fact that, you know, after he steals the presents, he then notices they're still singing. It's like, that's when he gets it. That's when he's like, oh, Christmas isn't about all the presents and toys. Like, and that's the irony of the film, is that you call the film, obviously, The Grinch Who Stole Christmas. It's like, you can never really steal Christmas. As long as you have the spirit, then I believe you can still have Christmas. And that's something the film really does reinforce impressively. So, good job, Ron Howard, on that one. I think the only issues really I have with the movie are, like, yeah, the Martha May character thing. That doesn't work. Like, the romance plot, it's just a bit weird. That was never in the book, as far as I'm aware, and it's not really necessary. I mean, only in the backstory sense of the word. But yeah, no, it just doesn't work. And the CGI, whilst good for the time, is dated. You can tell where the green screen shots are. It doesn't have the best CGI in the world. I know it was made in. I know it was made about how many years ago now? Nearly 17 years ago. Fuck. So yeah, it's no surprise that it hasn't aged very well. But it'll do. It's good enough. Also, like, there are just some scenes that are just weird. Like, with the opening of the film, they go up. There's a group of Who's that go up to Grinch's house. They try to, like, knock on his door, and then the dog scares them away. I have to give credit to the dog, actually. The dog performed quite well, I must say. They trained the dog very well. Yeah, I think the comedy is a bit hit and miss. Some of it works, some of it doesn't. I just think I'm a bit torn with the Jim Carrey performance. I don't know fundamentally how I feel about it. I know I like parts of it, and then other times I'm like, this is a bit too far. It's annoying. Stop. But I can't really. I don't know how else to really say it, guys. I'm kind of struggling to review this movie. But it's a good movie. I wouldn't say it's a masterpiece by any stretch of the imagination, but it's definitely a good film to reinforce the true message of Christmas. So I think the very end of the film works very well. The resolution, when they all gather round and sing by the tree, and then the Grinch invites them all to his house. So the film wraps itself up very well. And it was kind of surprising that all of this took place inside a snowflake, because as you know, the film opens with them zooming into the snowflake, and then at the end it pulls back and we go out of the snowflake. I think the score by James Horner is good when it's there. It's kind of overshadowed by the songs, though, because there are times when Cindy sings. So the score kind of gets overshadowed a little bit, and there is a song about the Grinch as well, which is a weird sort of wacky kind of song. I mean, it works. It's used in the montage when he's building the sleigh. As for Ron Howard's direction, it's pretty good. I don't think it's anything amazing, but you know, he keeps the film fun and entertaining, so you won't be dissatisfied. I will say it's miles better than the Cat in the Hat movie. That movie was just an abomination. This is I think it's good. You know, it's decent. It's good. I particularly like the ending when they're going down on the sleigh towards Whoville with the presents and everything. So overall, I can't really say much else about this movie. I think I'm gonna give The Grinch a 7 out of 10.
Where are you, Christmas? Why can't I find you? Why have you gone away? Where is the laughter?
It's good. It's a good film. And you know, if there was ever a time it was on, I'd watch it. Or if I've got the DVD, so maybe next Christmas I'll get it out and watch it again. Maybe next Christmas I'll review another movie, and I'll try and do it on time. So anyway, guys, belated Happy Christmas and a Happy New Year. At the time I'm recording this, it's the 30th of December 2016. So yeah, we've only got 2 days left of the year at the time I'm recording this anyway. I hope you all had a good year. And I wish you all the best for 2017. So, thank you guys. I'll see you next year. Thank you all for watching, and as always, I'm Mr. TARDIS11. See ya.